All right, good afternoon to all of you. Right, we shall continue on our so-called overview of the computer systems. We have 4 more topics to go, and we shall finish the first chapter. And next week, we will start a new chapter, chapter number 4, the components of system units. Right, next we will talk about computer software. Okay, what is software? You were asked to define what is software. Software is just consists of a series of instructions. That means you write a series of instructions to instruct computer what to do and how to do. Not only what, but also must instruct the computer how to do it, because computer is dumb, right? It doesn't know exactly what you want to do. So you must use the instruction to instruct. And basically we can classify the software as 2 main types. One is the system software, where 2 typical system software are the operating system and also utility program. Right, we'll go into detail in the next slide. The other major category is the application software, right, which will be the one that you normally download or buy to achieve specific tasks, depend on what you want to carry out. Okay, that depends on individual, right? So program that perform the specific task that you ask for. Okay, we'll go into the system software first. We know that there are 2 types, OS, operating system, and also the utility, right? First is the system software what? To control, the 2 keywords here is, one is control, the other one is maintain, okay? Computer basically is a system of hardware. So you need to have some software to control the operation, to coordinate the operation. So operating system will be the one that do the control. And the maintain portion, once the system is up and is running, you still need to do certain system maintenance. Then in this case, the utility program will be the one doing the maintenance of the operation, right? And between you and the system, the computer system, in fact, system software is the one that help you to talk to the hardware, to control the hardware. As a user, you need to control the hardware to get, say you want to print out certain document, you need to go through the OS to get the print service up, right? And let's look at what is the operating system. It says that it is a set of programs that will what? Coordinate all activities among the computer hardware. Okay, there are so many different pieces of hardware. You have memory, you have hard disk, you have floppy disk, you have say CD-ROM. All this you will not be able to use it directly without the operating system. So you need to have this OS to, usually OS will control the hardware through the driver. For each piece of hardware, normally you talk about driver, right? You have a so-called USB driver that installed so that you can talk to the USB port. So that when you plug in the thumb drive, you will be able to communicate with the thumb drive through the driver, right? And driver is a piece of software as well. And also allow user to run application, right? You want to run a certain application, you also need to go through the operating system. Operating system is a housekeeper, right? It manages the whole system, right? Allocate resources to you, and they will not allow you to run something that crashes the whole system. That's why operating system usually protect the integrity of the whole system, right? Certain operation that is likely to cause the system to crash, it will not allow you to perform, right? And 2 typical famous OS nowadays is the one from Microsoft, Windows system, and the other one is Mac OS, right? Both are going into very, very high version. Windows is already version 8, right? Mac OS, I think it's more than 10. I think maybe 10 or 11, I couldn't remember, right? Okay, the others is the, right. I'll leave 2 questions for you. 2 questions about OS. You say, when the user start their computer, a part of the OS actually loaded somewhere into the memory. Where does it come from, right? Normally you load certain, a big chunk of code into the memory in order to manage the system. The other one is, why do we have to wait for the computer to shut down? You cannot, normally when you press the shutdown button, it will take a while. and they will just simply say, do not pull away the power cable, right? The system will take time to shut down. Why? Why is that so? Okay, think about that. And the other system software, just now we mentioned, it is the utility software. Okay, it says that it will allow user to perform maintenance type of operations. Typically, your hard disk, after using for a long time, the area that you use for program or for data scatter around. You break into pieces, isolated region are occupied. Then the hard disk become less and less efficient. So you might need to do a what? Defragmentation. I think you heard about this term, right? They try to arrange the data and information so that they will be contiguous. That means when they access, they will continue to access from the same track. Then that will speed up the access of the file. Okay, and that's called defragmentation. We also have data compression, right? Sometimes you need to save, want to save certain hard disk space. You're running out of space, and you like to compress it. Sometimes you need to send out a big file, so you also want to actually zip it. Those programs are considered utility programs, right? Things like encryption. You do not want anybody to read your content, especially like professor when they send the exam question to another person, they are asked to encrypt it so that nobody can read it. Even they misplace it, they will still be able to make sure that it's safe, right? And this partition also, I think, sometimes you have a big hard disk, you do not just want to use it as a single drive. You do a partition to make it 2 or 3 drives, right? And then you can use one drive for data, one drive for system, right? System application. The next is big group of software is the so-called application software. What are the application software? It's a program that performs specific tasks for user, right? It depends on who you are and what kind of operations you want to carry out. So it is user dependent. Good example are the browsers. It's an application, right? Your IE, your Chrome browser, all these are considered applications. There are other famous suites of programs like Office, right? Microsoft Office. They normally pack into one box and sell it together. In a way, it's cheaper to buy this way, right? However, sometimes you might not need to use all of them. Then it's a waste of money. But for the Office, I think most users here would normally need to use most of them, right? You have a word processor, Microsoft Word, and then you have a spreadsheet for budgeting, for financial planning. That's Excel, right? And then we have the presentation graphic for FYP presentation or any project presentation. You need to have a PowerPoint, right? And of course, the database. I think less of you will be using the database, right? Right. Next question we want to ask is what? Where does the software come from? Who do it, right? Who write for you? Typically, it's the computer software programmers. Okay, the programmers will usually develop software and also write the instruction to instruct the computer to change the data into information. Remember, the computer is supposed to convert data, that is raw data, into useful information. So who carry out? The computer will take the instruction from programmer, right? Programmer will write the instruction for that. And they typically use computer languages such as C, C++. I think some of you in engineering will study the C or at least the Java, right? And also C# more for business application. Right, all these are common languages, right? They do not use English, they do not use Chinese. Basically, they use computer languages, right? And to make the job easier, typically the software company will produce things like SDT, Software Development Tools, or SDK, Software Development Kit, right? So when you want to develop software for your handphone, say Android handphone, you have to download the Android SDK, right? And also you might need to have an integrated platform that you have the compiler, you have the editor, right? Those are considered things that in the public domains you have the Eclipse IDE. I think if you are doing the FYP, typically you might need to download all these tools, right? In order to set up the software environments for you to carry out to be a programmer. I don't know how many of you want to be the programmer, right? For my personal opinion, it's a very, very difficult task, right? In the software programmer career is not a good, easy career for long term, right? I think the useful lifespan is actually shorter than a sportsman, right? So that if you want to really serious about software programming, I think make sure that you really know what you are going to do, right? Because the software platform keeps changing, right? You might be expert in one area, a certain computer language for 10 years, and after that the whole industry change into another platform, another programming language. You are no more an expert, and by that time you are at the middle management or higher management, and you are not better than your younger programmer, so you lack the kind of control. So not like accountancy, when you progress up the ladder, I think you will be in command, right? The accounting principle will not change overnight, but software is not the same. So that is something that I feel that it's not easy to be to take software programming as a career, right? It doesn't mean I want to discourage, but you have to think whether you like this career or not. Yeah. Right, next we move on to another big topic here, the categories of computers. I think up to now, the whole world must have thousands or millions of different types of computers. So in order for discussion, for presentation, normally the computer experts will actually classify all these computers into up to 7 categories. And the 7 categories are here. First is a personal computer, so-called the PC, and we have also mobile computers or mobile devices. I think getting more popular is the mobile computers and the mobile devices. And also game console, very popular among younger generation. Servers, we used to have that in the past, and then also mainframes, something in the past, right? More common in the past. And also supercomputer, also something still in exist, but also important in the past, right? And we also talk about embedded computers. Now become very, very common in the daily life. Everything should have certain embedded computer inside. Let's go through one at a time, right? So first thing first, easier one, right? The most familiar to you, personal computers, right? And you say a personal computer can perform all these operations, input, processing, output, and storage activities by itself. Okay? So what are these 4? Remember, the 4 are considered the so-called information processing cycle. I think we have covered in the first lecture, right? So that personal computer will have all the hardware and software to carry out all this by itself. There's no need to have add-on with other connected to it, right? So a personal computer typically will consist of what? The memory, the CPU, and also one or more input device. Input will be like keyboard, or output to be a CRT monitor or LCD monitor, and also have certain storage device like hardware, hard disk, and like CD-ROM, right? All these storages. 2 popular architecture will be what? PC and Mac, Apple, Macintosh, right? And both of them will have certain desktop models. Up to a few years ago, I think still mostly dominated by PC, right? I think that at one time the ratio is like 90%, 10%. Now might have some changes, right? 90 to 10. At one time, I think it's almost dominating, right? The PC, right? Almost killed the Macintosh, but sooner or later, I think Mac changed the microprocessor. Originally, they have all different CPU, right? Intel dominate the PC area, and the Mac has been using Motorola. After that, using PowerPC, the one from IBM, right? And after that, they found that no matter how, based on the market volume, is too small to continue that processor. So they found that the speed of the processor is always behind the PC set up by the Intel processor, right? So finally, I think the Apple also changed platform to use the Intel processor. So now both desktop platforms are using the Intel processor, right? You can see that most of the things are the same. Even the peripherals, usually whatever you buy, should be able to work for PC as well as Mac. because both using the what USB, right? So there's not much difference between the two, except the price maybe. All right, this is all about the PC, right? The next category will be mobile computers and mobile devices. So we have two big groups here. Mobile computers are the ones that you can carry from place to place. I think every one of you carry one or two or more than one, right? You go everywhere, you carry one. An example include the what? Notebook computer, laptop sometimes, and also they call it netbook. 5 years ago, very popular, before the tablet came out, right? So that time when you talk about netbooks, a small notebook with a very small, low power, low processing power. And we also talk about ultra thins, those are ultra books. Most of the PC now, I think you prefer ultra books because the weight is much less, right? Usually below 1 kg or around 1 kilogram, right? And also tablet PC. This tablet PC is different from the one that we are talking about, iPad or the Android tablet, okay? This tablet PC in fact came out originally proposed by Microsoft, right? And however, during that time, the technology was still not matured. It's quite heavy and clumsy. The OS is just too slow, right? So it has never really become a popular platform, okay? However, we call it tablet PC. And the other big group is the mobile devices. These are the computing. In fact, I don't call it computing device. I will simply just device small enough to hold in your hand. Because you look at the example here, it includes the what? Camera, digital camera. So I don't really want to say a digital camera is a computing machine. It's not a computing device. It's just a device, okay? We call it a mobile device, okay? So include what? Include smartphones, PDAs, handheld computers, and portable media players. Okay, we'll go into each of these. Right, first we talk about mobile computers. And inside here we only have two, right? One is I use a black box to include only these two, the notebook computers and the tablet PC, okay? Right, we first look at the notebook, the most familiar you are, right? So notebook computer are the thin and lightweight and also can be powerful as the average PC. But if you want it to be powerful, usually it costs more because it is portable, right? For the same computing power, if you have a desktop unit, definitely it may be just costing you half the amount of you pay for the notebook, right? And also the notebook computer weight on an average anywhere between, this one they use a pound, right? So it's about for ultra books, I think it's about 1 kg, right? Can be go all the way to 10 pounds, means up to 4 kilograms. Do you see a 4 kilogram notebook? Yes, if you play games, right? There are some game machines that they have a 17-inch monitor. It's LCD as well. That is a notebook. And I think they use powerful graphic cards. Everything powerful, right? A big hard disk, everything. So a notebook can go all the way up to 10 pounds as well, right? So from very light to very heavy. So these are just about the notebook computer. How about tablet PC? I mentioned just now, this is not the same as the one that you're talking about, iPad, okay? iPad, they redefine the tablet, and they don't call it tablet PC, they just call it tablet, right? And this tablet PC was actually special types of notebook that allow you to write and draw using a pen. They call it digital pen, also they call it stylus, right? So, and that stylus is usually based on, sometimes they based on magnetic, sometimes they based on the certain electronic signal, right? So this is also different from the pressure sensitive type. The iPad or the Android tablet are considered capacitive sensitive, right? So you use finger, you can touch. For most of the earlier tablet PC, using finger will never activate anything, okay? You need to have the stylus. So that's why it makes it very cumbersome, okay? Every time, wherever you go, you need to use a tablet, use a stylus, right? And tablet PCs are useful, especially when your notebook is not a good notebook to use, where you got no place to put a big machine, right? You want to just carry and write something, so you make use of a tablet PC. But of course, everything changed. This info might be, when it first came out, when they first defined the tablet PC is valid. But now even the tablet PC also changed to Windows Mobile, right? So this is about the tablet PC. Next, we move into the so-called mobile devices. You know that we have smartphone and tablet and also PDA. For smartphone and tablet, I'm not going into detail. Who is going to cover that? Prof. Chong, okay? I think in another few weeks' time, he will cover in detail about all the latest smartphone as well as tablet, okay? And the other groups is the PDA. I think some of you might have forgotten altogether what is PDA. Why should we have a PDA? But about 5 or 10 years ago, PDA was actually popular, right? Let's look at what is PDA. PDA is a short form for what? Personal Digital Assistant. And it provides what? Personal Information Management. At that time, before that, everybody carry a small notebook or a folio, right? Something that for them to use a pencil or pen to write. And I think that is about the best already, right? You have everything inside. You have a calendar inside. You have all note taking inside. However, remember the first company who come out, it's called Palm, okay? P-A-L-M. Now also defunct, right? No more there. Palm was the first one to come out with the PDA, right? And it was popular, right? Something similar to this one, but this one is called the Compact. Compact follow the Palm track, and then at that time Microsoft come out with Windows Mobile. They have a free operating system. They make it free for all the hardware vendors to come out with Windows Mobile PDA. Palm has its own OS. Both are popular. However, now it's no more in use because a handphone, the smartphone is even more powerful than them, right? He said PDA can also do quite a lot. Besides the personal information management, it also do word processing, spreadsheets, personal finance. But I won't think the word processing is the main thing because without a proper keyboard, I think it's very difficult to write a lot, right? Okay. Okay, there are 3 more here, right? Under the mobile device, we have handheld computers. And also we have portable media player and digital cameras. For the handheld computers, I think most likely you don't like, especially when you drive a car or what, you don't like to know that because the traffic police usually carry one. Or the car park warden also carry one. In the past, you can run away. Now with that thing, they generate ticket on the fly. Okay, they just key in the number, they generate it. By the time you say sorry, they say I already generated the ticket already generated. I cannot take it back because he leave a record inside. So no matter how you prolong, also no use. Right? So this is the thing that normally the traffic police will carry one. Okay, and the other like PUB man taking the meter reading, they might carry one. The car park warden also normally carry one, just to generate the summon, right? Okay, next is the portable media player. Many of you used one before, but now I think everything integrated into a handphone. Before that, we have such thing as iPod, right? And then we have iPhone and iPod. The iPod is iPhone taking the phone portion away, right? So a portable media player is a mobile device on which you can store, you can organize and play any digital media, sound, music, or video, graphic, pictures, anything you can store inside there, right? It's a so-called the portable media player. Are you all still using one? Not likely, right? You have a more powerful handphone. Why should you carry more than one? The only reason why people carry more than one, I know, is what? Because of the battery, right? You don't want to use the media player for so much until come to an urgent time, your phone got no battery. So those who carry 2, one for listening to music, the other one for using it as a phone, right? So that is the reason, because either you carry a backup battery or you carry two devices, right? Up to your choice. Okay, another one, this is good for the students who like to play games, right? Game consoles. I don't know how many % of you have one game console at home. Maybe you start playing from primary school, right? My son did that from primary school, and that is my biggest mistake. Once you let them buy the first one, and you know that If you expect him to be a president scholar, you never realize, okay? No way. A game console is a mobile computing device designed for what? Either for single player or multiple player. Like the Sony PlayStation, you can actually, using a single player, or you can actually connect up to 2 persons challenging each other, right? Something like sword fighting or whatever, usually one control the other one, the street fighters, they will just fight with each other. So everyone become more and more aggressive. Right. There are 3 popular platforms here. So we have Microsoft Xbox, I think already go to many generations. The 360, I think is an old platform. Nintendo come out with a what? With a Wii, right? W-I-I. The one that you can see people doing a bowling, virtual bowling, right? And then we also have Sony PlayStation, right? Now it's Station 4, right? Already out in the market. He said game console will cost from what? A couple of $100 to more than 500. I think many of them are around $500 to $600, right? And I think this part I won't go into detail because there will be someone covering it. I think Prof. Yap will go into this area, right? Okay, another big category here is a server, right? Servers, I think we mentioned in the last lecture, it said a server will control the access to those shared resources. Remember, what are the shared resources? We can have things like file server, we can have application server, we can have data server, we can also have print server, right? All kind network server, right? So these are the ones that allow you to share hardware resources, hardware, software, and other resources, right? It says it will be a centralized storage for you to store all the data, information, and even the program, right? All kind of software. And you also can support from 2 to thousands of users. Most of the servers, you need to have routine backup, okay? Otherwise, when the system fails, it will affect too many people, right? So typically, they will have some system operators doing the routine backup. In case that the system crash, the customer, the user will come back to you. Can you please reload this software for me or reload the data for me, right? And it's always, because it serves many users, so we talk about multi-processor. In the past, when PC are using only two core, most of the servers are talking about 8 core, 16 core, 32 or 64. That means they have multi-processing, right? And also you have built-in redundancy. With certain processor fail, you cross over to another processor. Even the hard disk is fail-safe. That means if certain hard disk fail, your data will not be totally gone, okay? Because they use a technology called RAID, okay? So all the data will always be there consistently. You will not have to worry that you lost your data, right? The other one is so-called load balancing. Since we have so many people using the same server, right, they have to spread the workload across multiple machines. They are connected together anyway, the server. So we have an automatic load balancing built-in, right? So these are all the nature of the servers. Right, another big computer here, the mainframe. Mainframes was popular in the 1980s, 70s, 80s, 90s, right? Up to 20s, I think now it's less popular. The famous mainframes are always referring to one brand only, the Big Blue, right? IBM, right? For many of the older generation, they will know that they will come across one mainframe, IBM mainframe like System 36, System 38. All these are their most popular machines. Small corporate will always have 1 or 2, right? It says this is a large, expensive, and powerful computer that can handle hundreds or thousands of connected users, right? Many corporates normally have many employees, right? And they're supposed to achieve certain things together, so they need to have the big mainframe to connect them up. And they can store huge amount of data, information, all this. He said with this mainframe, then the enterprise will be able to what? To build the million of customers, and also prepare the payroll for all the employees, and also may be able to manage the inventory control, right? They have a lot of products to sell or to receive, so they need to have a big computer to process the order, right? where to process through all the order and also compute the revenue, right? Right, another big computer here, supercomputers. You should have heard about supercomputers. It's the fastest and most powerful computers, and also, of course, most expensive. I never heard about individual buying a supercomputer, okay? Right, and you also don't know what to use it for, right? And the fastest supercomputer capable of processing more than one, this word I don't know how to pronounce. Anyway, it's 10 to the 15, 10 raised to the power of 15, or so-called 1,000 trillion, okay? That kind of number of computation per second. And the weight is also about 100 tons, and it stores data which is equivalent to 100K PCs. So you can see that it's a huge, giant setup. I just have this additional slide. Because every year there will be a company who compile the list of the supercomputer for that year. See which one is the fastest. The last few years, in fact, not the American supercomputer top the list. The one always appear as number one is the one from China. The name is called Tianhe, and it's from this National University of the Defense Technology. Right. That's why it come out with this performance at 33.86 petaflops per second. This petaflops is 10 to the power of 15. Just now we mentioned, right? The same word here, right? So this is the amount of computation power it has. And in the past, the famous name is like Cray, IBM, and so on, right? So now you can see that the Chinese has catch up, and you can see that the next year they will still every year they will compare who got the faster machine. Right, I don't think I need to go into this slide. It's just talking about what the supercomputer is used for, right? Typically for scientific computation. So for weather forecasting, like Singapore weather forecast, they have a supercomputer. Because the amount of data they collected over the air, they send up the balloon, right? They get the data from satellite. They will need to process it in order to tell you whether it's going to be a rainy day or it's a good sunny day, right? For Singapore, the prediction might not be that accurate, but for USA, for big country, typically they can tell the weather 24 hours ahead, okay? So they need to have that supercomputer to process. And there are other things like, for example, engineering. Sometimes you need to compute or simulate certain IC, big IC consisting of millions of transistors. They might need to use a supercomputer to do the simulation. Right. I think we move on to the next one. The last one, not the last one, I think, is it the last one? I think it's the last one. Embedded computers. This one is very common, and nowadays it's almost everything that you are using, right? And embedded computer is a what? Special purpose computer that functions as a component in a larger product. So it's not standalone, right? A computer built into within the bigger product, right? You have something, but this computer is within this big product. And because embedded computers are components in the larger product, so they are usually very small, and they have limited hardware. They don't have a space for them to put too many hardware inside. Okay, so for example, washing machine, right? You might have an embedded computer inside. So basically, the big chunk of hardware is for washing clothing, right? But inside there should be an embedded computer. It said embedded computers are everywhere, at home, at work, and you are carrying one at the moment. Your smartphone would have an embedded computer inside. If you drive a car, you also have an embedded, maybe more than one, okay? And we do use this slide to highlight the embedded computers inside a car. They say there are many, more than one embedded computer within a car, usually, right? And in order to make the car smart enough, there will be, typically for computer, we know we need to have input and we also have output. So this embedded computer, where are the inputs? They will normally put in a lot of sensors, okay? In order to supply data into the embedded computer, they will put in many sensors inside. And when the data has been processed by the embedded computer, what are they used for? they will use to drive the so-called, the word here is actuator. Actuator is the one that drives certain parts of your car, right? Let's take a look at the speed control, right? In Singapore, I think not so common, unless you drive a very expensive car. Anyway, it's not so good in Singapore because the roads are so congested. There's no need to do speed control like auto speed control, right? You can't. The next moment you will just go to manual mode again because the traffic jam up, right? In USA, this is very common. They will set to auto cruise, right? And how do the car do the auto cruise? They have sensors, right? In front of the front bumper or behind the bumper, they will always have sensors to judge the distance between your car and the front, any obstacle you have, right? So if they found that it's too close, the signal is feedback to the embedded computer, and the embedded computer will have to decide to slow down or even to stop. Okay, so this is the chain of reaction, right? Sensor read in the distance, the embedded computer process it, and then the actuator is the one that control the brake or control the throttle, right? Whether the accelerator to accelerate or deaccelerate, right? And there are many other sensors. Say for example for tire, there will be a pressure sensor to tell the driver your tire is going to be flat, so be careful, right? And even the airbag, although the airbag is like when you hit something, you just blow inflated, right? However, this airbag might hurt, right? It cause injury if it's too hard. So there will be some smart certain intelligent built-in with the embedded computer. They can decide how heavy is the impact. If the impact is not so heavy, then they will not exert so much force. So this is another way to have so-called embedded built-in, so that you can decide more using more intelligence. Right? I think I won't go into so many. There are so many areas that they use embedded computers. Next, we talk about elements of an information system. There are 5 elements here. You can see, as you can see, hardware, software, data, people, and procedure. All these are working together to what? To produce a timely and useful information. All these work together. You need to rely on all these 5 elements in order to give you useful information. We will just take one example to discuss in a corporate, right? It says that for this corporate, first, step 1, IT staff. So these are IT staff are the people, right? IT staff will actually develop the process. Process is considered a procedure, right? So for what? For recording checks. Checks are considered data. So now we have 3 components already, right? So they need to develop this process for recording the check, and then those checks are received from customer, right? So this is the first step. And the second step will be the employee. Employee are the people, right? So in the account receivable department, they are the one who process a check. Okay, so they will use the program. So program is what? Program is software, right? To enter the check, check itself is data, right? So they will actually use the program to enter the check data into the computer. So you can see that involve people, involve software, and involve data. The next step, the computer, which is a hardware, right? This big computer here, the mainframe, will perform calculation based on the data and process whatever account receivable data and store the result into the storage. And such as storage is what? Hard disk. Hard disk is considered hardware, okay? The last step here, the customer statement, right? Whatever you have received the data processed already, you want to print out. So you print out to the company printer, big printer here, and the printer itself is the hardware. Okay, so you can see that the element of process, the information system will have that 5 elements. Right, the next we talk about example of computer, the types of user. In fact, we want to talk about the 5 types of computer users. Is that computer user can be separated into 5 different categories, and based on their usage, the way that they use the system for, the hardware that they use, we can classify them into 5 groups here, right? So the first one we have is what? The home user. What is a home user? Right, a home user is a family member, okay? You, your mother, your father, your parents is considered a home user. And home user typically use it for what? Use a computer for budgeting, right? To take notes about the expenditures, to manage personal financial management. Maybe they will make use of Excel, right? To record all the expenditures, to make sure that whatever they receive is more than enough than their expenditures. And also, they might want to access the web, okay, internet, and also send email to their friends, and also downloading video or audio for entertainment. Right, the next, the SOHO. SOHO stands for what? Small office, home office, right? And these users typically are small company or self-employed. Now getting more popular because ever since that the HDB allowed you to set up a small company at home, right? So we call it a SOHO. They will allow you to run a business at home. And these are individuals, sometimes set up a company, they don't have money to pay for office rent, okay? So it's good to be at home. In order for them to carry out business, what they will do, they will look up information over the internet, they will send and receive email to their customer, and also they will make telephone call, maybe they cut costs by using Skype, right? SOHO users also use basic business software, they need to use it, right? And also sometimes use, depend on which area. If they are in engineering, they have to use engineering software, right? Or if they are in the desktop publishing, they might need to use a desktop publishing software, right? Maybe they are helping to print certain magazine, then they will need to have a desktop publishing, right? The third group is the mobile user, right? Who are the mobile users? Many of you, right? Most, you say the mobile users are the employees or the students who work on the computer away from the main office, also from their school, right? They can be anywhere. Outside the classroom, they will be doing it using a notebook or PDA or handphone, right? So these are considered mobile users. And what do they use? They typically will have to, connect to other computers using a network, right? Or using Wi-Fi or using 3G, right? And also play video games, I think not so recommendable, right? So listening to music, I think quite common. And also watch movie, right? I think also adventure, download video, right? Okay, the last two types here, the power users. Power user use a workstation as well as other more powerful computers, desktop computers, workstation. And they work with multimedia, for example, for desktop publishing, using industry-specific software. Many of them might be doing IC design, doing machine design, that they need to use CAD. CAD stands for computer-aided design, the IC design software, or CAM is computer-aided manufacturing, right? All these are considered compute-intensive engineering software. They need to use it using a powerful computer. In the past, they talk about workstation, but now less. In the past, they talk about Sun workstation, Sun Microsystem, sorry. And then they have maybe a HP workstation. All these are famous names, but I think some of them are not doing well and it's already been absorbed by some other company. Especially the Sun Microsystem, right? I think purchased by Oracle. Right, it says it exists in all types of business, right? The last type, enterprise users, they say work with many employees. Normally they communicate among themselves that they need to have email, scheduling, meeting, all these over the enterprise computers. And they will need to process high volume of transactions. That's why they need to have enterprise computing. Right, that's all for this chapter 1. We have covered the overview of computers, the software, the hardware, the users, the category of computers, right? And remember to download the portion for the next week to lecture on the components of system system units. And that is chapter 4 of the textbook. Okay, see you next week.